Hi. So Robin and I got together today to actually give her a Reiki session in a way that we could demonstrate to you how we do our Reiki sessions, because this is what the Next Step Reiki training leads to. And we've gone into that even before, so I'm not going to explain it all now. But when we went into the session, we expected to actually talk about the normal format that we use and how typically when a client calls and we set up an appointment, the very first thing that I do in the beginning of the session is talk to them about the format. And I tell them what I'm going to do in the session and how it works. So typically what I do is I start with an invocation and I make that fairly short. Then we stop that and have a short conversation about why the person um, called for a session and what they need that day, what they want to let go of and what they want to bring in. And then we go into a third part of the session that's channeled and goes deeply into what is happening in the session. Because we are channelers and we speak it out loud, what we are actually doing is observing what Reiki is doing and how it's doing the healing work. We are not directing it through the Reiki journey. We are observing what it's doing and then giving voice to that. And of course, it's all channeled. And, when you listen to this, you'll see, you can't make this stuff up, because I would never in 1,000 years have known what was going to happen in the session.
Well, in this one specifically, so we've done the session, we meant to talk about it, but again, channeled. So it just kind of went where it went. This one specifically, you may not have in 1,000 years because it was a generational ancestral oath.
Yes, you're right. I wouldn't have expected it. Yeah, the generational oath that when you listen
Your
to it,
ancestral oath.
eventually that's what it leads into, is this huge oath that she has been carrying. Now, I did know what she wanted to release beforehand, and normally we would have done the invocation, then had that conversation, but we kind of did it backwards, and we thought that's what we were going to do in this one. But actually, once I started with the session, started doing the invocation, it turned into the spirit reveal technique, and it was insistent that I just keep going. So I followed the guidance of it. And then we talked about it actually at the end of the session and what actually happened during the session. So that's the scoop. We are actually recording this after the session, so you can listen to it, but just giving you a little bit of explanation. And again, because this is the skill that we teach in the Next Step classes, beginning with Reiki journey techniques, learning the foundations of your intuition and your imagination, your ability to actually observe what Reiki is doing. And that is through a process of developing skill with it and using Reiki energy for the journey, based on my original training in journeying with spirit was through shamanic techniques. This is through Reiki techniques, but they both are still they are still journeys using us using an energy to do those journeys and to access higher levels of consciousness that you can't really just catch in an ordinary mind. Like I would never have known to look at Robin and say, well, I think you're carrying this oath around that has been in our lineage for a really long time.
And then that may have contributed to some of the health problems that you're trying to work through.
Yes, exactly. And heading into a new precipice, a new beginning, and a new cycle of her life. So anyway, go ahead and go listen to the session. At any point you can fast forward, and you can, if you are fascinated or not fascinated, but you can also go to the end where we kind of debrief and talk about the session also from each of our own perspective. Anything you want to add?
No, that's great. I was telling Colleen, because we recorded this after, I'm a little altered still. It's a big shift when you have that big of a release, and also bringing in too. So and yeah, so no, I think that sounds great. And let us know if you have any questions. ReikiLifestyle.com, of course, or you can always email us if you have any questions.
And also, if you are looking for a session like this, Danny, that works with us at Reiki Lifestyle, is a practitioner, and she is able to offer these kinds of sessions now. And also, if she's unable, many of our students are also trained and skilled in these techniques. All right. Thanks, everybody. Close your eyes and take some deep breaths. And place your hands comfortably on your body as the light of Reiki flows through your breath and through your hands. Breathe deeply now. Open your heart and receive. As you breathe in the light and the power of love, and the power of love within you is revealed. It wakes up right at the core of your being. As you breathe in the light and the power of the divine mind. And the divine mind travels in on your breath and awakens your divine mind. Awakening your authentic intuition, imagination, inspiration, instincts, and innovation. As you breathe in the light of the divine mind, your inner truth is revealed, your inner authority, your inner awareness wakes up. And as you breathe in the light and the power of the divine heart. And the divine heart fills your breath, flows into your body, flowing through your heart, awakening and revealing your heart light. And your heart light shines in front of you, behind you, and on each side. Your heart light shines above you and below you and deep within you. Your heart light is revealed to you. In the moment that you became self-aware, from the power of love and pure consciousness and pure heart, your spirit became unique and self-aware. And your spark of light, your self-awareness, your God spark is right here within you, revealed to you now. The power of love in your divine mind and pure heart, shining for you to see. The beautiful beings of the light are here as you expand your perception. Your spirit ignites, and you become aware of the divine animal kingdom around you as they share their blessings with you. And you share your blessings with them. And the tree of life here with the divine animal kingdom, the circle of life and the circle of light, the spirit of the earth, the angels and the archangels. Our brothers and sisters in the light, breathe deeply and receive the ascended masters and sacred and beloved ones. Some are known and unknown. The frequencies of the 12 heavens of consciousness, the duality of the earth, the beautiful enlightened realms of the soul and the spirit and the infinite. right here within you. And the power of grace and the authority of love fills your breath. Zonar, Halu, Hearth, and Rama. Nosa, Yava, Shanti, Kriya. And you stand here on the earth, your higher self, higher consciousness, authentic self revealed. And you notice the beautiful beings of the light around you. And notice that your light is beautiful like theirs. And you remember now that your human spirit is also your divine spirit, your pure consciousness and divine mind, your heart light. Your body is made of the earth, receiving the light and the nourishment of the earth, receiving the light and the nourishment of the heavens, the light and the nourishment of the spirit of the earth, the four winds flowing through your branches like the tree of life as you reach to the heavens and receive. And your roots encircle you, strong and stable and connected with the earth. And when you listen, you can hear the heartbeat of the earth beating in the same rhythm as your own heart. When you listen, you can hear your heart beating in the same rhythm as the heartbeat of creation, the rhythm of the universe and pure consciousness. Here in the elements of the earth that you are made of, the earth, the air, the fire, and the water, the electromagnetic fields and the frequencies, the higher frequencies of life, higher frequencies of consciousness within you. Sometimes, though, it can all seem like it's hidden from your own view. There are layers that cover you, caused by the ways and the worries of the world, the injuries and traumas and challenges of life, being human. With your glory here inside, here at this time in your soul's history. Breathe deeply now and receive. The angels are here, Michael and Gabriel, and Jesus is here. And you breathe in the light of compassion and the light of grace and the authority of love, and it envelops these injuries that are around you, dissolving cords and connectors, attachments, old oaths or vows or promises, spells or curses. Breathe deeply now and receive this light and the authority of love and the authority of forgiveness. And the light envelops these injuries from any time in your soul's history, the layers that hide you from your own view, the layers that cause you to forget who you truly are, your brilliant self. layers that can be here from any time in your soul's history through your ancestral history, your DNA, other lifetimes, this lifetime. And so you breathe deeply as the light envelops these layers from you, for you, and lifts them into the light where they are listened to and heard. And they are healed all the way back to their original cause. Breathe deeply now and receive as the light does this for you. These burdens lifted from you now. And as you breathe in, you simply let them go. And the burdens lifted from you. Breathe deeply now and receive the light of your authority and your sovereignty, your autonomy. As you breathe in, the light fills your breath now and empowers you in these places where the injuries and layers were connected, hiding you from your own view, and revealing to you now your spirit, your beautiful spirit revealed, shining through your heart light here in the beautiful beings of the light, remembering your body activates your cellular memory of your beauty, your truth, your inner awareness. And here at this moment in your soul's history, you receive the light and you remember, in truth, you're an extraordinary being of the light, and you are sovereign. You are sovereign. These layers, the injuries, the causes of them have no right to have power over you. And so through the authority of love and the grace of compassion, you receive the light and your sovereignty is revealed, your self-worth. Breathe deeply. Imagine now standing on the riverbanks of the river of peace. All along the riverbanks are the animals of the divine animal kingdom. Breathe deeply now and receive. And here at the river of peace, everything drinks of the waters, the living waters of the river of life runs through all. And you cup your hands in the river and you take a long drink. And the waters flow through you. And they restore the waters within you, the living waters of peace. And as you breathe in here, the light of your sovereignty and your spirit is revealed. And you notice here at the river of peace, the bridge of light that leads back to the first heaven and the place where the power of the oath is present. And here, as you lift your consciousness into the third heaven, in the place where all there is love, the higher realms of your consciousness, you leave behind you the oath of unworthiness, the teachings of unworthiness. And you can observe them for what they are now. The belief in deserving, the deep seed within you to earn and deserve love, to receive without earning. Breathe deeply now as even more layers release from your chest. As these layers are carried into the light, where they can be healed and released from you. And new lights of your own sovereignty are revealing within you. And here in the light of your sovereignty, you can remember now that the belief in deserving love, worthy of love, is a belief embedded through your ancestral history, other lifetimes, and the oath released today. The oath released today is a lineage oath. One of self-sacrifice, subservience, martyrdom, and there are cords and connectors releasing from your throat and your voice. The oaths spoken, the vows taken. And it goes deeply through your body, all the way through as the light travels down the front of you through your root chakra and lifts any power that this oath has had over you from you. Breathe deeply now. As this breath of light fills your breath, flowing through your body. And here you are with the river of peace, the waters flowing through you. The light shining on you and all around you. And revealing to you that your light shining from underneath these layers is as brilliant as the divine animal kingdom and the tree of life and the river and the water dwellers and the angels singing in the distance. Your light and your song reveals, and your authentic voice reveals. Flowing all the way through your heart, through your belly, through your root chakra. Connecting deeply into the earth as the light of the earth flows upward through you, through each chakra, and filling you with the colors of the earth and bringing you fully into your body, the colors of creation and your divine self and the colors of the earth merging. And in any places where your colors were out of alignment, muddied or dirtied, they are now filled with the purity of the light of the earth and the light of creation, the light of this universe, the rhythm and the heartbeat of the earth, beating in the rhythm of your own heart. The light of the moon shines on you, and the alignment with the planets and the sun, the Milky Way, the galaxy and the universe, where the universal consciousness flows through you in new ways of awareness. The changing of an age within you as you are in the pivotal age. Pivotal age of your lineage. You are the result of the love of thousands. Breathe deeply and receive now. As the trauma of those thousands no longer belongs to you, you no longer carry those burdens. And the love of those thousands flows through you now in great gratitude for all that they have dreamed of, their children and their children's children and the earth itself, for the animals, peace, love, health, wellness, safety, freedom. Breathe deeply now and receive, as your sovereignty is a dream of theirs. And your sovereignty is a dream of yours. At this time in your soul's history, that your lineage is free of this old oath and vows. That the new beginnings are here and they begin even before you, but they are bright and powerful here with you. Your own new beginnings and the possibilities of the children who come after you. The ascended descendants born into a life of worth, born into a life of trust, as the pathway of the lineage behind you and in front of you is one path. Dedicated to freedom. Freedom to believe, freedom to love, freedom to trust, freedom to be well. freedom to shine. Breathe deeply now as the light fills your breath, healing you and revealing your authentic self, your power. And this power is filled all around you, underneath you. The earth itself shines with your power for you and with you and through you. As you've always known, you're born of the earth. This comes through you even greater now. Through this lifetime of seeking and finding your way, through all of the outside beliefs, the carrying of the old curses and oaths and vows, into this new freedom of you, who you are, your inner truth. You have made choices this entire life to follow this light and your path. Like divine appointment, intuitively, instinctively, and from the depths of your soul's knowledge and purpose. Following the light within to see where you're going. And the love of the thousands behind you shine brightly for you. And great thanksgiving. And the beautiful beings of the light are here, and they are here for you and with you, revealing your knowing of them from way back in your soul's history, in the human ages of deep knowing of the earth, mastery with the earth, and the enlightened spiritual realms that exist here. The unseen beings, the nature beings and the elements and the elementals. And you have the freedom to remember the mastery of these lifetimes. They are right here within you. And as you breathe in the divine mind within you wakes up and reveals it here in your soul, here in your gut, your heart, and your human nature, your divine nature here and present. Breathe deeply as you breathe in this breath of the earth. As you are revealed to you. Your knowing is revealed, empowered, strengthened, discovered, inspired, received, shared. This light fills your home and cleanses your home completely, lifting away any old effects prior to this great revealing of the light within you. And the light does this instantaneously for you, cleansing all the energies of on the land around you. Lifting from you the old burdens that this land has seen. They're not yours to carry. The struggles of the people who came here and lived here before you. And so this light of sovereignty for the energies of the land around you clear into the light too. And the beauty here is revealed, the sheer beauty of this earth that you love so greatly. And the gifts of the ancestors, the talents of them are here with you. They're not cords connected, they're wisdoms you can hear and know and remember. On the four winds and in the sounds of the rivers and the trees. And the mountain by east. Power of the land and the rhythm here is the same rhythm as your rhythm. The rhythm of the moon and the sun. Your spirit is revealed right here within you, expressing at this time in your soul's history and this experience of your soul, your human spirit, part of the circle of life, with the earth and the waters, the plants, the animals and the trees, the birds and the winds, here with the thunders, the mountains, the moon, the sun and the stars, the enlightened ones. And here to remember your ancient knowledge with new knowledge of human development at this time in metaphysics and in life. Breathe deeply and receive as the light of grace is here for you and with you. That this is gentle and easy and revealed for you and with you. You receive it, and it's easy to receive. As the blessing fields and the winds of the blessings and the blessings of the animals flow through you, and your blessings for them flow through you to them in a beautiful exchange. Divinity of the earth. and you remember. Thank you. We say thank you to these beautiful beings of the light that are here for you, and we invite them to continually reveal themselves in all the ways that they can be known: frequencies, higher consciousness, beings of light. All the different ways inspired for you and with you. Thank you. Say thank you to yourself for your self-love awakening and revealing your self-worth, received and revealed, your divine mind and pure heart, the power of love that is who you are. Thank you. And now we seal this session with love and light, love and light, love and light. And so it is. Okay, well, how are you doing? And would you like to have a conversation, or do you want to just stay in your process?
No, I think we can have a conversation. I'm altered, obviously. So thank you, by the way. What was interesting is that when, so what's not in the recording about this session is that, which Colleen, obviously knows about me, is that I was having her work on some of the things around the seizures and epilepsy diagnosis from this summer. And so that was kind of the intention of it, letting go of a feeling of being a burden to those around me, releasing any trauma for me and the house, and just, anywhere where my family wants to release trauma from it. And any of the loss of freedom. So that was something I'm not sure we actually talked about, Colleen. So it was interesting that it was in the session. That has, of course, the medical pieces of it are really hard, but the kind of unexpected place that has affected me is the loss of freedom. So what I mean by that is, I'm able to drive at this point. I have a relatively mild case. My medication is working really well, but not driving far distances. We're careful how much I'm driving our daughter. And that piece has been a challenge. I would say that's, one of the things that we always liked to do together is go out into nature. And, those are the places that are a little hard to do with her right now. So anyway, so those are some of the things that I was like letting go of, and bringing in this kind of new cycle, because although it's been challenging, I do feel like we're at the precipice of a new cycle, like my family and I. And so kind of stepping into that and trusting that this is going to stick, because that's where we've been, that we haven't been able to trust the stability of it all. And so anyway, so that's kind of what we were working with in this session. And, Colleen, you can kind of talk about how it just channeled directly from the invocation, to the actual session piece of it. and you just following that guidance, and anything else you would like to add. Oh, what I was going to say though is that this guy right here, which I kind of have issues with anyways, from like an old whiplash injury, it was so uncomfortable after a little while. Like, if you saw me moving around a lot, that's
I can
why
understand. Yeah.
it was after, I forget exactly, because a lot of times the words kind of come and go like dreams, but there was something with the ancestral history and the carrying. I was very obviously carrying something here, because I think it must have released right there, and whatever was kind of holding it in before must have relaxed, because it kind of hurt for the rest of the session, and is feeling a little better now. But I have a feeling that I'm going to need to kind of, do a little more relaxation of that, because it was like this kind of really big release, which we don't always think of it being uncomfortable when you have those big, like physically, and you have those big releases afterwards. But I know it'll clear up. But that was definitely happened during the ancestral pieces of it that you were talking about.
Well, from my perspective as a practitioner, I was aware that this was also a session to show how these sessions go and what the spirit reveal technique is like. And it's what we teach in the Next Step classes. So I had a dual awareness, and it was interesting because I was observing myself get out of the way through the first part of the invocation, which is really part of it, is it takes all of us into it. And so it's still channeled, even though there's part of me aware of different things that I'm doing. And one of the things that I was observing is it felt very difficult to actually bring you in. And at first I was thinking it was me being distracted. And then I realized, and this happens in sessions all the time, where I think it's the things that I'm doing, and it really is what's going on for the client. And so in the way that it was working to begin with really bringing that Reiki energy in through an invocation style, getting connected in the beings of light, being there to do this work, for the Reiki to do the work, and then going to the river. And even though these are all places that I'm very familiar with, I don't know in advance that this is what I'm going to do. I'm following the energy of it. So how that relates to you is when we got there, and I was very unaware of that oath. And so as we were at the river and you took the drink of the water, it's like that river of peace went through the water, and the living waters went through your body. And that's when the oath had no more power to be able to resist the light coming in and releasing it. And the spirit reveal technique does that. And so for me, I'm observing what's actually happening and what's highlighted. And so as I'm aware that that's how the technique works, at the same time, I'm observing what part of the technique it decides to use and what's highlighted. So when we were at the river and that oath showed up, and what it looked like was you looking across the river to where you were here in the world, because in this side of the river, an oath like that has no power. It can't exist. It's on the dual realms of the earth that it can exist, but in the full consciousness of your spirit, it can't hold, it can't stay, because your authority is what has the divine right. Your sovereignty is what has the divine right. And I don't know that I have ever observed in you before. This felt like a very old, it said it was a lineage oath.
Mhm.
And looking at your lineage, and particularly as we have been in these conversations, I now know that it all orchestrated together, because the conversations about the oaths and the vows of other lifetimes, the oaths and the vows spoken by our ancestors that are part of your DNA, part of your cellular memory. There was, to me as a practitioner, it was a big one.
Mhm.
And it was very clear, because you were carrying what it was showing is, initially you were carrying the burden of the thousands who came before you. And then what it was doing was revealing the love that you are of the thousands before you, and the dream of it. And a lot of times sessions aren't this much about something that is pivotal, like a person having a pivotal moment for the lineage. But that's what I was observing, was that this oath that has been passed through the lineage is now released from the lineage and will not carry forward. And very specifically looking at Luna, but it's more than that, because it also then ripples through the collective. And always what I observe when a pivotal historical piece of a person whose soul has a specific intention, and it's not always, not everybody fulfills that intention in a lifetime. It can have been an intention for many generations, even before you, to come in and release this oath of suffering, self-sacrifice, unworthiness, undeserving, and then martyrdom. That word popped in. I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you hear that too?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because we had talked about that recently.
Yeah. Yeah, and how martyrdom had shown up. So it was surprising. And again, it's all channeled. Like
Yeah.
all of this come through, and you're observing what's happening in the
Yeah.
session.
Not, I guess recently, it was probably a couple months ago now.
Been a couple months ago, but
And it was about self-sacrifice and healing that.
mhm. And how interesting, because that showed up for you with another client, right? And that was one of the other things that we know is, a lot of times that's what happens as the practitioner. Different things will begin showing up. And now look at it, here it is, it came through for you today. And I think from my perspective that it's, as you say, the precipice of a new beginning.
Yeah.
We're on the other side of the precipice now.
Yeah. It's felt like that. And it's funny that you said that about at the time of the session for the client, it told me that the martyrdom piece was also going to be for me and many others. It's a kind of an energy that's on the planet to work through that aspect, but that also specifically I had work to do around it. And that was months ago at this point. So it's interesting that it's kind of waited all this time to now come in, and that there was such a big oath around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was powerful.
Yeah.
And, it feels like since we're mother-daughter and we're in the lineage, it is the lineage we're in together. It's
Yeah.
not the other, it's not the father's side, it's our side,
And that makes sense
mother's
too.
side.
That's where the epilepsy runs.
Oh,
It's on your side,
you're right.
and the gluten and all the things
All the different,
runs all through your side.
you're right. You're right. Yeah. We have the family history of it.
But specifically, since we're taught, that was kind of what brought us to this subject was the epilepsy. There is a maternal link.
It is the maternal link. And so this oath is through the maternal link.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
Mhm.
sense. And it's interesting because, I do feel like I'm on the other side of the precipice of this new cycle. And I feel like I've had that message a lot in a lot of different ways. It is still where this Reiki session I know will help. It's also, I can feel it, but then also there's kind of the habit isn't the right word, but the consistency of trusting that, it's like I can trust that, but then I've been there before, and then kind of the rug gets pulled out from underneath health wise. And so, yeah, I have to also move into that place of like, okay, how many times do I have to be told to trust it in order to just trust? So I can feel the energy working on that, but I'm not there probably mentally yet.
Well, and I'm also glad you brought that up, because when you have something like this oath, and it also oath and vows, they were coming together. When you have something like that, and then that in the back, it was definitely all releasing through this
Yeah.
part of you. Like,
It already feels better, but you can see the way I'm moving around. It's still uncomfortable.
and so it can be, and it can be uncomfortable for a while after this, because like you say, you're used to you with that burden. You're used to you with that reality. And, especially when it's a lineage like that, you've had it all your life.
Yeah.
And in addition, I'm sure that through your childhood, since it's, runs through my lineage, there's the teachings through me, the teachings of my generation, all of that that goes with it. At the end, how fascinating was that about the land? Because what it was showing me, so in context for those of you listening, Robin literally lives right on the Oregon Trail. And the trail is at the Sandy River at the base of Mount Hood. And Mount Hood is a big mountain with a heavy forest, rivers and streams. And there's a viewpoint by her house where you can see the trail of the Oregon Trail. And it's called the Devil's Backbone because it was so treacherous.
Speaking of
And
backbone.
Pardon me? Speaking of backbone. I love how it works. So, so funny, because the other thing that you guys should know is I'm still channeling.
Yeah.
It's still, yeah, and her too. But still, I'm still channeling. And so this part of the story is part of what shows up to share. So as they were coming across the Oregon Trail and going through the Devil's Backbone, they would arrive at the Sandy River, which is right down the cliff from where she lives. And they would have to get the wagons across the river and hoist the wagons up and everything up Meinig Hill with ropes. And then they would go on their way. And, the very first homestead on the other side is right below her. You can see it in pictures that we have that she shows all the time. So it was I had no idea, even though that's another part of our ancestry, and whether they were specifically the ones on this trail. Our ancestry was on the Oregon Trail and settled the West. And so this was showing at the end how the suffering and the hardship and the intensity of the people who made those choices is in the energy of the land there. And of course, that easily connects in with you in this whole energy. So watching how the Reiki energy came in, and it was like a vision of the light rippling out over all of it, and just going all the way around the land and clearing that suffering. And talk about sacrifice and challenge and hardship, and that ancestry just releasing all of it, because it said then very specifically, it is not your burden to carry.
Mm.
So then it was showing those were the ancestors also, and then going even further back, as we know, into Ireland and England, and of course on your side, on your father's side, but I'm just talking about on our side, on my side, the maternal side. And the love of the result, the quote that you use, that you are the result of the love of thousands. And that's the energy that came through. And it was specific, though, that it's not corded to you. It's available to you and it's within you. But it's not a cord like the burdens were corded to you. So it brought in that level of sovereignty, that the dream is the sovereignty, the freedom to be you, to be your truth. And then to also be able to, again, remember the mastery of that you have of lifetimes with the earth. Because you've always even said, and this was, I could hear you saying in the session, that I've always been comfortable being human. I've always had a deep connection to being human, where often we talk about, how often it's hard for people to be human. And for you, you were like, oh, no, I actually really like it. And so showing that depth of human ability that's within you and innate within you, and going all the way back into the times of, really deep mastery with the earth, and then merging with what showed a flash of an image of the James Webb Telescope and what we know today about who we are on the earth and our part, being this little speck in the universe. So that was kind of all at the end of it. And for me, that felt like it was the unveiling that is going to be happening. And you've always had a connection with the elements and the consciousness that is here of the earth. And you've always talked about it. And it feels like there are going to be old ways and new ways of understanding that will be emerging. And you'll be receiving some of them, and some of them they'll be revealed that, through the receiving, and however all that works with the energy and the spirit guides that are here. And it was also clear that there's a lot of different names for what we think of as spirit guides. And so that may be another stream that shows up with you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the other thing that I thought about when you were talking about the land is also this specific house.
Yeah.
So it's Colleen lived in this house too. So yeah, interesting.
I lived in this, and my husband and I lived in this house when we first moved from California to Oregon. and Robin was 2. And now she's living there with her husband and her daughter. And so, but what we've seen with the house, another aspect of it in a session we did maybe last year, is it really has a downward vortex. And that's because of the way the water runs in the land. It's not negative, but it's a natural downward flow where the water runs through the rocks because the river's right below her, and it runs through, and it's like a filter of, everything going through. But to live on top of it, we actually had to do some vortex work, to stop that downward flow from her. And so I guess it's okay to say that your acupuncturist had said, or Chinese medicine had said, that your chi was running backwards. And that's when it shifted, was being able to do that with the land and the house, that the land that the house sits on.
Yeah. Yeah, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and since this was, this was a very genuine session, which was needed anyway, but, as far as like the format of the session, it's always kind of just channeled this way. So this ended up, that a lot of what was channeled about the session in the dialogue with each other was after, because the energy just went right into the session. And the debriefing afterwards, may or may not have happened with a client. I always like to debrief after. There's very few, sometimes I don't, but there's very few times that I don't. Most of the time I like to. And just because the topics to me are always fascinating anyways, plus if anything that I receive in the journey and that kind of thing, any insights that I receive in the journey. But Colleen, maybe you want to talk a little bit more about that from that perspective, as far as like how the sessions go.
Well, so typically what I do, like when a client calls, and we set up an appointment and we meet, and typically I do that on Zoom, but it's audio only. We're not actually on the computer like we were today. This was for the benefit of being able to demonstrate the session. But anyway, typically what I do is I first tell the client the format that we will be working with that day. And so normally I start with a short invocation at the beginning to bring us together, connect in with the energy, and, kind of get all prepared. It's my preparations, like activating the Reiki symbols. And then we have a conversation about why the person called. And 2 things are typically part of that conversation. What do they want to let go of? And what do they want to bring in? And those 2 questions, what do you want to let go of? What do you want to bring in? Can come through in different words than that, but often it's even those words exactly. So then after we have the conversation, then we go into what I would say was more like the session that we did just now. The session we did just now really did have probably a deeper invocation part of it at the beginning, but not necessarily. And then the next part of the session, when we end and complete that channeled portion, then we have a conversation, like Robin said, debrief. Some people prefer not to debrief, and some practitioners prefer not to debrief. And that's certainly a choice anyone can make about how you practice and then who you are as a client. And then, but usually I give them the option of, when we're finished channeling, I tell them at the beginning in the format that at the end of the session, I'll give you the opportunity to either stay in your own process and we'll just hang up, or to share and have a conversation. You also get to be very discerning about what you share. You're never responsible to share unless you decide that you are comfortable with it and your client is comfortable with it. So the other part that I would share with this was a very expanded version of what we call our spirit reveal technique, which is what I learned to do from Reiki. And then Robin and I have developed it over these past years and really working with our Next Step Reiki classes. It's a significant part of the training is how to do Reiki journeys that observe what's happening in the session. So to really clarify, I was not making any of this happen. I wasn't directing it. I was following a particular technique that I use, but all of it was just coming through and doing the work. And the Reiki journey teaches you how to observe what Reiki is doing. What is the healing taking place that they're letting go of? And what is the revealing? So that's what the training is about also. And part of the reason the Next Step classes, kind of insisted that we create them is because of this style of Reiki session, and either in person or at a distance or online. And all of it can happen. You do not have to do your Reiki sessions this way. It's not necessarily going to have a greater effect for the client other than the self-awareness they may have. That it's fascinating in this case for Robin to be aware of this kind of big cord stuck of this old oath that has been part of the dynamic of what she's been asking to let go of. And then also that freedom that, she whether she voiced it verbally or it was part of what her spirit was saying, is that freedom to come in and really be her authentic self, but also to change the nature of the lineage, and that it won't be running through her daughter or her daughter's daughter. And when we say lineage, that can be more than direct bloodline. That can be a very expanded version of that. So, I've been doing this a lot of years, and prior to the spirit reveal technique, my training in shamanism was all soul retrieval. And soul retrieval was also something that I used Reiki to do all of my soul retrievals. And I'd done thousands of them. 3, 5,000, I don't even know, because it was like 16 years of doing soul retrieval. And then when I started working with Reiki, and very specifically holy fire, but this is true for all Reiki, you don't have to be holy fire, but working with holy fire Reiki, it shifted. And all of a sudden I could hear the Reiki energy say, there's a new way to teach you to do this. And there's a new way for the energy to do the healing work and the revealing work. And so at least over the next, probably there were about 2 years of doing sessions. And during the sessions, I would say, okay, show me how you do this work. And watching that shift, because my training was soul retrieval, and there's not a better than, they're just 2 different techniques, but this is different. But the result is that the soul reveals in its wholeness in both techniques. And so this is one that for those people who have Reiki can do this same level of work, and they do not have to have the shamanic training to do soul retrieval work, because they really are 2 different techniques. The energies that you're working with are different, and how the technique works is different. So the spirit reveal technique started showing itself, and it took quite a while to kind of wrap around exactly what it was doing and how it formed itself into a specific technique. But now we've been working with it for a lot of years, and again, done thousands in these techniques. Reiki, Danny that works with us at Reiki Lifestyle has the training in this, and she does a lot of sessions now. And our students that have gone through the Next Step classes are doing sessions using this technique. And we focus on the foundation of learning how to do the Reiki journeys in the level 1, discover your next step class. And then the level 2 class is when we really focus on learning the soul reveal technique through practicing Reiki journeys with others in the class, and also delving into what it's like to use Reiki to explore other lifetimes and the healing and the gifts and talents that can be revealed, to explore ancestral histories and things that show up very much in a Reiki session. Now, it's not only to be about a practitioner, that's part of it, but the course is also for personal and self-development. So through the process of learning these Reiki journeys at this depth, it awakens within you knowledge from your soul's history. Your spirit begins to reveal, because as with Reiki, you're always receiving as you are giving. And then in the 3rd year is channel your next step. The 2nd year is live your next step. And the 3rd year is channel your next step. And that's where you learn how to give all of it voice. And by voice, it doesn't necessarily always mean words, but channeling can mean words, like how we did this today was all channeled, spoken out loud, but that doesn't have to be the goal. The channeling is allowing Reiki to come through completely and do the work. And I would have to say, observing today's session with Robin, I definitely would never have known that we were going to go in and find this level of an oath that is part of this situation she's in and life circumstance right now. And I don't know that I think it's the entirety of the cause, but it is that moment of moving from the precipice and moving forward. Sometimes, these things can be piece by piece. Sometimes it's all at once, but this was a big one. And so and I will say it to her too, but also as a practitioner, I would let the client know that there's a potential that it's going to be a little disorienting to begin with, because when you've lived with an energy like this for such a long time, it's a part of you. And once it's gone, it's like can sometimes feel a little disorienting is the right word. Doesn't always, but I would just let the client know that there's a possibility. Take care of yourself, pay extra attention.
Well, what's interesting about that is I have been a little disoriented in certain times in the last few days. So it's sometimes you feel the sessions before too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that we probably should go ahead and end there. Of course, if anybody has any questions, you can go to the website and email us and all of those kinds of things. But yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And like you said, you wouldn't have, went into this with a slightly different plan. So you're not making it up, because we had a plan to do a session for me to demonstrate what sessions with Colleen or I or Danny, or like you said, others look like. But it was in a slightly different format as far as like the order of things. And so you just kind of channeled it through and what it all looked like.
Yeah, actually, I started off thinking I was just doing a short invocation, and then it just kept going. And when that happens, you just follow it
Mhm.
and stay in it and let it go through the way it wants to go through. This one was actually, as the practitioner, this one was very insistent that it worked this way. It was like, you just keep going, even though we had a different plan ahead of time. And so, you learn to allow it to do it that way, unless there's a reason not to.
Yeah.
You always get to be the human in the human on the team. And so you do get to always have that authority to, create your systems the way that works for you. But in this case, for me, it was very comfortable to just keep going and let the session run that way. And that does happen often enough.
Okay.
And,
Awesome. All
well,
right. Well, thank you.
thank you. That was really powerful. It'll probably, I would imagine, I'll have some effect from it too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. And, lots will come in over time with it. So,
Mm.
yeah.
All
Thank you.
right. Well, thank you.